Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Can't hear Peter. Why?
A way to start the show. Nobody can hear me. Incredible. But we're delighted to say welcome to the Football Show. Barry Ferguson is back with us, Alan Ruff and Alison McConnell on this Monday. Hopefully, with a bit of luck, you are joining us. You can post your thoughts on Scottish football. It's as simple as that. Great to have your company. And of course, there's lots to talk about as well. Roughie, it's been an unbelievable weekend for you. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been okay. Weather was good on Saturday, which, be able to relax and just enjoy it, had a few drinks the night before, but I've been able to sort of recover. Recover is the word, I think. Recover's the word.
Yeah, and good to have you back, Barry. So many people posting his messages, thinking we'd sold you on a Bosman, but you don't lose your captain, you keep him.
Yeah, no, I'd had a good 3 weeks, Peter. It was great to watch the show and see many of the comments. Some of the comments were a bit wild at times, but no, I never missed the show one day when I was off on holiday. I enjoyed the show every single day, as I always do, with the guests on and the panel. So, no, I've enjoyed my 3 weeks break and now I'm back.
Brilliant, great, in true Michael Jordan fashion, just two simple words, I'm back, and that is what we like to hear. And we've got a one-to-one that Gary was alluding to there with Gary Caldwell, the former Hibs and Celtic defender and of course former Partick Thistle manager, until Roughie once again ruthlessly get rid of him. So we will hear we'll hear from Gary very shortly. And also Alison here with us. Alison, I'm absolutely gutted you didn't get an invite to Roughie's party at the weekend, but it was his daughter's party, and she also invited along 7,000 midges where they had erected a tent. So I'm so glad that we weren't there to socially distance with them. The midges, I can tell you, were not socially distancing, Alison.
I've heard the stories here. I'm intrigued at what I might not have heard.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway,
let's keep it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Good on old Roughie there. Always good for a wee friendly get together. Anyway, apart from anything else, it's great to have everybody with us. We've got Robbie Nielsen to talk about. He's the man of the moment. Give us your thoughts on if you're a Jambo out there. I have to say, Jim McGregor in Ontario, Canada. He's originally from Gorgie. Delighted to have Robbie Nielsen back. Jim Ross, who's a Jambo, says, I'm happy to have Robbie Nielsen back as well. So it came right out of left field. I didn't see that one coming, Roughie, did you?
No, I didn't. Well, we're all talking about Robbo signing a 2-year extension, and we thought that was just to cover themselves. But certainly no, Robbie Nielsen, for me, fits the bill. I think everything he's done since the time he left Hearts, particularly at Dundee United, very impressed with the way he handles himself, the players he brought to the club. And I think it took everybody by surprise, but I'm sure the Hearts supporters will be really pleased with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi to Paul Malone, who's in Dundee watching us. Gary McKean says, nice haircut, Barry. And of course, lots of people joining us as well. Hi to Lynn, who's on our YouTube feed, 9th Legion as well. Paul Crawford, who says, you've been missed, Barry. So it's always good for Barry to get some of his cousins to post on YouTube that he's been missed. So that's good. That's good going as well. Also, I must say at this point, I'm sure everybody will echo the sentiments. Well done to all the boys who took part in the 100-hole golf challenge at Ranfurly Castle. They were raising funds for the Beatson in Glasgow. It's all for Johnny Martin, and they've raised almost £25,000. And Johnny's got his own battle at the moment. All his pals have rallied round. So I think it's just well, the human spirit. Lots of people raising just, close to £25,000 is no mean feat indeed. So well done to everybody who knows Johnny Martin. Let's hope he keeps fighting on. Simple as that. So that's lots of people who've been giving us their thoughts. First and foremost, let's find out about Robbie Neilson.
Robbie Neilson has returned to Tynecastle on a 3-year deal. The ex-Jambo has left newly promoted Dundee United to replace Daniel Stendel. Neilson spent 9 successful years at Hearts as a player. He helped the Jambos lift the Scottish Cup back in 2006 and was part of the side that finished second in the league. Neilson also scored a memorable UEFA Cup winner against FC Basel. He took over as Hearts boss in 2014 and led the club back to the top flight. The following season, the boys in maroon finished third under Neilson. He moved to MK Dons in 2018 before returning to take charge of Dundee United. Robbie Neilson led the Terrors to the top flight last season, but he will now drop back down into the Championship after taking the reins over at Hearts.
Yep, that's the story of him. Here's what Dundee United had to say regarding Robbie Neilson's surprise departure. I can confirm that I was called by Anne Budge seeking permission to speak with Robbie Neilson to become Hearts' new head coach. This, of course, is from Tony Askar. This was turned down. However, after lengthy discussions with Robbie, he made it clear he wished to speak with him. As a result of this, the contractual termination clause has been met and Robbie will leave the club. He led the team to a playoff final before achieving promotion with the Championship title this season, and I would like to thank him for his contribution. Gordon Forrest and Lee McCulloch will continue leading our pre-season preparations ahead of the Scottish Premiership restart, and we will look to appoint a new head coach as soon as possible. Too big a job to turn down. Here's what Robbie Neilson had to say on the whole affair. You don't turn down the chance to come to a club like Hearts, and I'm absolutely delighted to be going back. I had some great experiences here, both as a player and manager, and I'm keen to pick up where I left off. Everyone knows there's a really good squad at Hearts, and I'm excited to begin working with the players and staff. Finally, I'd like to say thank you to Dundee United for the opportunity they gave me 2 years ago. I hope the United fans feel that together we managed to restore the club back to where it belongs. So, he's got a good pedigree up here. Didn't quite work out for him, Barry, down at MK Dons.
Yeah, as you says, Peter, I was surprised when I heard the news yesterday. But look, you've just mentioned in your bit there about Robbie. He was there for 9 years as a player and went on to be a successful manager at Hearts. It didn't go as well when he went down to MK Dons, but Dundee United gave him the opportunity, and he got beat in the playoff final his first season, but he done the job last year. I know he had a lot of backing from the American board, but listen, he done the hardest thing, Peter, and that was to deliver the league title, and that's where Hearts see it, because it looks as if Hearts will be playing in the Championship, and Robbie's been there and done it in the Championship before, so I can see why Hearts have chosen to go for him.
Yeah, I can't quite work it out, Ali. It certainly caught me by surprise. I mean, he's a good manager. I'm curious to see what he does with Hearts and the type of player he tries to sign at Tynecastle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've seen this season that there needs to be a revision in the Tynecastle dressing room. Just the way that they were playing under Daniel Stendel, just it wasn't working at all. I think there were a number of players released a few weeks ago. I think there is a rebuilding, not just of the team, but maybe of the culture. This term, like you, I was surprised by it. I thought it really took me aback when I heard the news yesterday. But also, I think it will be a popular appointment from the Hearts' perspective. It's someone coming to the club who understands the club and understands the demands of the club. He has an affinity with them, and there was obviously a real pull there. There's an additional layer to it, just given the fact that where Dundee United and Hearts are at the minute in terms of the antagonism that's going on behind the scenes and off the pitch, in terms of league positions and the impending threat of legal action from both sides. So there's an extra layer to it, but obviously as individuals you would be untouched by that, but it certainly adds another dimension to it.
Yeah, Roughie, there's a suggestion on Facebook from some people that maybe Robbie knew the writing was on the wall with the likes of Lawrence Shankland, possibly going out the door. But I think Neilson's attachment to Hearts has probably been tugging at his heartstrings. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I would think so. I think if we always say who is the bigger club, Dundee United is certainly a big club. They're never going to match, Hearts is 14, 15,000, turning up week in, week out. That's a fantastic attraction. The stadium, as we all talk about, is a fantastic atmosphere. I think we missed a lot of the stuff that, at the latter end of the championship year, although Dundee United got promoted, they posted something like £3.7 million in debt, but the owners would said, yeah, we'll keep throwing money at it. So maybe there was a wee sort of a reins get pulled in a wee bit. We hadn't noticed really. Well, we don't know what kind of budget he had. We don't know what kind of players. So he'll have known what was there for the rest of the season with Dundee United. But I just think Hearts are a bigger picture in the whole. I think we would all agree with him going back there and Hearts' budget and the way Anne Budge is thinking that they will be really odds-on favourites to go back up again. So he'll be thinking about the future. He'll be thinking about not next year but the years after that. And for him to take Hearts back into the SPFL would be a fantastic feat for him. But I'm sure the Dundee United fans will be really loving Anne Budge at this precise moment. 1 minute she's telling them they're not getting promoted, and then she goes back and pinches her manager. So I don't think she'll be flavour of the month up in Dundee.
No, I have a sneaky feeling. And of course, there's the great thing, is if to add fuel to the fire, Barry, Hearts are a bigger club than Dundee United. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I've seen a few people commenting on it today. Listen, Peter, even if Hearts do go down to the Championship, see if you start winning games at Tynecastle, as Roughie just pointed out, you're going to get full houses there. I don't think the same would have happened at Dundee United, if I'm being honest with you. And as I says, I really believe that Robbie had a great time as a footballer at Hearts, and obviously he was a successful manager as well. So I think that was the pull. I'm going back to the club that he spent a lot of successful years at.
Yeah, Jamie Wright says, Peter, are you disappointed your mate Robbo never get the job at Hearts? I'm not fussed. I just thought he was a great candidate to get the job. Robbie Neilson, equally so for Hearts fans. I haven't actually witnessed any dissenting voices from some of my mates who are Hearts fans. They're all delighted with it. I just thought Robertson was a manager with a good pedigree, certainly knows Hearts inside out. If anything, he didn't fail at Hearts the last time. He suffered from Vladimir Romanov, who battered out a few good managers in that place. But Ali, I think Hearts fans will be happy with that. Whether some are suggesting that this could open the door for Lawrence Shanklin and maybe even Kevin Nisbet to go to Hearts. That would be no mean feat if they were able to get players of that calibre in. But they've also been talking to Craig Gordon, Ali, and trying to influence him to go back to Tynecastle on a 2-year deal.
Well, there's been plenty going on, hasn't there? I think Craig Gordon rejected St Mirren's offer. I think Celtic are yet to come back with a better offer than the original contract. And again, that's one that almost has a look of inevitability about it, about Gordon going back to Tynecastle, I think, this season. But it's clear that there's work already underway in terms of laying the foundations for the coming season. I just wonder how much will be impacted by what's going on off the field in terms of finances that can be offered. To go back to your point about Lawrence Shanklin, I don't think he'll be short of offers this summer. I think there'll be interest in him. I think he had an excellent season again last year. I think he'll be fairly coveted by other teams. But I think there is always, if you've had a successful campaign under one manager, I think there's always an appeal to go back and work with someone that can get the best out of you.
Yeah. Sandy Duffy says, will Tommy Wright go to Dundee United? Well, here are the odds on the Dundee United race for the hot seat. Tommy Wright at 2-1, Derek Adams at 5-1, Stuart McCall 7-1, your pal Barry Lee McCulloch's 8-1, John Collins is 9-1, and Darren Fletcher is 10-1. That's one of those bets where they go, why don't you throw £10 in the fire or put it on Darren Fletcher? Because I can't see that happening in a month of Sundays. No disrespect to Dundee United, but I don't think Darren Fletcher is heading to Tannadice. About that, today, and I nearly fell off the chair when I when I saw the headline coming from the BBC Sports podcast, Craig Levein would be interested in the Dundee United job, and I thought, no, surely not, Barry.
No, I can't see that happening, Peter. He had a horrible time at Hearts before they get rid of him to bring in Daniel Stendhal. But I think there's only one outstanding candidate there, and it's Tommy Wright. Peter, he lived, I mean, the job, that he'd done up at St Johnstone for the 6 years or so he was there was nothing short of unbelievable. Probably one of the lowest budgets in the league as well. So for me, if I'm Dundee United and I'm Tony Ashgar, I would be looking seriously to try and get Tommy Wright in. I think he'd do a great job, and I think it's one that the Dundee United fans would really like as well, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, well, what if Tommy Wright has got the Northern Ireland job in the bag, Ali? Who is an outstanding candidate? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, while there were times where I enjoyed Craig Levein's press conferences, I certainly didn't enjoy the team that he had on the park. And if suddenly Craig Levein was heading back to Tannadice, my personal opinion is I think a lot of Dundee United fans would be looking and going, am I really going to buy a season ticket for that?
Absolutely. I think part of it is that Craig Levein is out of a job. Like, you're not going to get any managers distancing themselves from any jobs that might come up. Whether or not there is actually any substance to it is another matter. There's plenty of things we could all say we would quite like to do or where we would like to be. It doesn't automatically mean that they're going to come to fruition. So I think at the minute you just have to take it with a wee pinch of salt and wait to see what kind of substance there is to it. I think Tommy Wright is a viable option. I think it would be a popular appointment. I think it makes sense on a number of levels, and it really just comes down to what the board want and what they think the club needs. A manager like Tommy Wright, you know exactly what you're going to get. You know what his track record is, or do you want to gamble on an appointment that might be a bit more ambitious but really takes you into the unknown? So it very much comes down to what direction the board want to take the club in.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, there's the side issue, Roughie, which is ongoing at the moment. There's twists and turns ahead. I'm dying to know what the next instalment is. I know Dundee United with Ray and Cove Rangers have called on all the SPFL clubs to help them in their fight against Hearts and Partick Thistle, because this week, of all weeks, I think, especially with the courts looking for, they're looking for, first of all, a quick resolution to this. And I would imagine the SPFL will be doing everything in the background to try and fend off this going to court.
Yeah, I think it's Wednesday that they have to reply to the papers that have been sent. And then that'll move on to Friday. Obviously, I don't know when the court stuff will start. There can't be a date on that until they decide what route the SPFL are going to go down. So we'll have to wait for that one. You're right. I think they'll be sifting through the papers to see, where they stand against the claims that are put against them. So we're really all in the dark until we find out what route they want to go down. Obviously, we've heard from the weekend that there are a few options, but I'm led to believe some of the options that were portrayed at the weekend aren't particularly true, because I think Hearts and Partick Thistle have went down. I think it was David Winnie that talked about it. They went down through company law, which is different, from a lot of things that people were going. I'm not a lawyer. All I'm saying is it's because Thistle and Hearts are a company rather than members of the SPFL. It's a different route that they're going down. So it just depends on how the SPFL want to reply. And again, we'll have to wait and see what they do.
Big thank you, Roughie, for reminding us that you are not legally minded on these issues. It was just, there was a moment there where I just thought it was like an episode from LA Law, when you were going to get into it in depth, but thankfully you avoided that car crash that was coming. I can tell by Ali and Barry's faces. You started going. So anyway, Roughie avoids giving us the intricate details of it, but nevertheless, it's an ongoing battle. One thing I think, sadly, Barry, is the door is shut on any reconstruction on this. I still think the only option is similar to the Dutch, get to a figure that keeps Hearts and Partick Thistle happy, they get their compensation money, and we move on and this sad, sorry affair ends.
Yep, I hope that's the only reason that Hearts and Partick are going legal, Peter. I hope financially they get settled and it doesn't go through the courts. Hopefully they do it outside and get it over and done with, and then we can move on with our football. In terms of reconstruction, Peter, before the decision came out on Monday, actually over that weekend leading up to the decision on Monday, I was thinking, do you know what, there's a real chance here, it could happen, but the full thing just, it sickens us. But you need to move on, Peter. I says away at the start that you're going to be happy with some decisions and other decisions you ain't going to be happy, and I was really disappointed, but we need to move on as a club as well now and see what way we're going to go in the future. But regarding Hearts and Partick, hopefully they can sit round the table and sort a financial settlement out of court.
Well, tell me this, and it's the first chance we've had to get a chat with you on where we are now with it. Knowing what you know now, do you have to have a heart-to-heart with the board at Kelty to somehow re-stimulate your enthusiasm to try and get to the top of the mountain again with Kelty Hearts?
Yeah, we're just waiting on a decision similar to what's going to be happening this week with the League 1 and League 2 clubs, Peter. We just need to find out when we can get back playing. If we're looking at January without crowds, we would struggle. As I've explained to yourself and the panel, that we rely on people come through the gate. We rely on our hospitality. We rely on our social club and absolute jam-packed at the weekend. And if we can't get anybody through the door, then I need to seriously sit down with the board and think what way we're going to go forward. And I don't want my players sitting about if they do have the opportunity to go and play at a higher level, Peter. That's something that we will need to do in the next 2 or 3 weeks, have a serious chat about things.
Yeah.
Which is sad because a lot of hard work, Peter, went into it over the 6 months building a squad to try and win a league, and then getting denied that opportunity to go up via reconstruction or been denied the opportunity of playing at least a playoff game against Brora. It's disappointing, and I spoke with Dean, the general manager, last week when the decision came out, and we says to each other, listen, we'll just let it settle down for 2 or 3 weeks. There's a bit of thing to be done, and then we'll revisit it, because sometimes you can make some harsh decisions, Peter.
Yeah, but with that is the first part, which you have painted the picture of the club, painted the picture of the difficulties they'll face with fans if they don't get in, and the social club and all the areas with the revenue, and you've also painted the picture of the players and their predicament. But how do you feel about you personally as a manager and your future and what you have to do now?
Well, I've still got that drive that with the disappointment. Hopefully that'll I'll let things settle down, as I says, over the last the next 2 or 3 weeks, and me and the general manager can recharge our batteries and say, right, do you know what, is there a way we can get through this and go and challenge and win that league again and get up through promotion? But I don't think there is going to be promotion, Peter. If we start back, you can't possibly play half a season and gain promotion. I think you've got to play the correct number of games before you can even consider getting promoted. So if we are going to start the end of October or into January, there's no way we could fulfil a full season in that short space of time, because our league generally finishes at the end of April. That's the last league game of the season, at the end of April. So there'd be no way that we could play a full season. But
these are unprecedented times, and you only have to look at what's gone on over the last couple of months. You know, they can fit a square peg in a round hole for anything now. It just gets made up as it goes along, Barry. So, do you not think there'll be promotion next season again?
No, I very much doubt it. That's the word that's going about just now. But we just need that confirmed, and then we can make our decisions what way we're going to go forward. I feel for the supporters, certainly the committee and the general manager, and most importantly my players. As I says, Peter, we put a hell of a lot of hard work into it. and to be denied that chance has been really disappointing. But look, you need to get over it quickly. And I've had a chat with the boys about it, and just let the dust settle, and then we can make a decision in the next 2 or 3 weeks going forward.
Yeah, okay. There is a statement which has just been released by Anne Budge, and as ever, on this show, always seems to be released right in the middle of our show, so I'll do my absolute best to quickly paraphrase from the statement. It says, "Let me begin by warmly welcoming Robbie Neilson back to the club as first-team manager. Robbie will take up his duties on July 1st. It's taken everyone by surprise. It was my stated intention to prioritise the appointment of a sporting director prior to confirming any new manager appointment. However, in all business, even the best laid plans may have to be altered to cope with changing circumstances." She goes on to say, "While Robbie agreeing to come back is excellent news, it does mean we have to say goodbye to Daniel. The uncertainties surrounding Scottish football in general and Hearts' situation in particular has put enormous pressure on all of us, not least Daniel. He's shown great patience and understanding throughout this enormously challenging time. I cannot thank him enough for the support he has given to our club. None of us expected our relationship to be so short-lived, but then none of us ever expected to have to deal with the effects of a global pandemic. It is clear that all clubs are having to rethink their short-medium plans, and we are no different. I do want to thank Daniel very sincerely for his fantastic support and leadership during his short spell with us. He made a big impact on our operation. We are very much better for having had his services. Had it not been for COVID-19 and its impact, I have no doubt that Daniel would have had a very successful and enjoyable time here at Hearts. Daniel became a firm fan's favourite in a very short space of time. And of course, everyone would like to wish him and his assistants the very best of luck for the future. And he will always be welcome at Tynecastle." Well, there's an interesting one. Alison, what do you make of that statement?
It's very interesting, isn't it? I'm intrigued by the sporting director too, and also about the alacrity then with which Robbie Neilson's appointment came about. If the plan had been to look higher up the chain first before then going to the manager, I'm not surprised at the parting of the ways with Daniel Stendhal. I think as soon as the season was called, I think we all anticipated that was coming. But yeah, it's a fairly interesting statement, I think.
Yeah. So remember as well, I always say, chairman, chief executives, managers, they all, and I include Barry in this, they all paint lovely pictures. Or sometimes it's not always the reality. And the last couple of paragraphs there, when she was talking about Daniel as a firm fan's favourite, and the whole "he was doing a great job" is quite simply just a lot of nonsense, because I looked at them and I just thought they were going nowhere. It was a stonewall certainty he was going, Roughie. That's for certain. And as ever with these things, and Barry will know this, what happens is there's a wee phone call sometimes that goes in every now and then when you have a chat with your mates and you go, "You don't fancy coming back to Hearts, do you?" In a kind of a wee tap up situation, Roughie. That goes on, and then once you get a wee sniff of "I might," then forget about sporting director. Let's get Robbie back and the deal's done.
Yeah, as you said, it was a very nice statement. The kind of statement that usually, as you say, comes out, clubs thanking everybody. But if the honest truth would be, it would be thanks very much, Daniel, for the 2 wins against Rangers, and nothing else after that. If she was to say that,
he's always got to say that, isn't he?
I mean, I don't know where she got the supporters bought into, what he was doing, because it was a bit of a nightmare, to tell you the truth. But that's what's got to be done. I have heard that sporting job that Davy Weir has been muted for that. I think I've spoke to him. I think he's asked. I don't even know where Davy Weir is just now, but I think through the grapevine, yes.
He's loan manager at Brighton. That's what Big Davy is just now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Davy Weir would be great. What a servant for Hearts he was, Roughie.
Can I tell you something about? I'll tell you something about Davy Weir. Nice guy and whatever, but he's got that nasty bit about him as well, Big Davy, in terms of Real proper strong leader, and I think that sort of role would suit Big Davy down to a T. I know he's went into the management side of it. He's done it at Sheffield United, and then he's been obviously assistant manager to Warburton, and now he's at Brighton. But that kind of role would suit Davy down to a T. I think he'd be great at it.
Yeah, so I agree with you on this, but Ali, we're 29 minutes into it, and suddenly Roughie comes up with an exclusive. He's it's just magnificent, isn't it? 29 minutes into a programme and he suddenly comes up with a sniff. Well done, Roughie. Anyway, apart from anything else, yeah, he would be. But the one serious point on this, Ali, which I think everybody is aware of, is Hearts are not going to struggle for money. They're not going to be destitute. I know Anne Budge would love to have handed the club over in April, but I think the way things have transpired over the last couple of months, I think there are serious money men in the background that will make Hearts A-OK. I think you'll see a lot of half-decent signings coming into that club under Robbie Neilson now, and they'll be backed. The only thing that I think Hearts want, Barry and Alison, first of all, they want their fair share of the compensation for what they feel is an injustice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, they're not going to go without a fight. They're not going to go without exploring every avenue available to them. Whether the conclusion to that is that they walk away with a fairly decent financial parachute as they go into the Championship, whether that's all they get remains to be seen. But yeah, I think that it's important for them as a club to be seen, to not take it lying down, and also it's important financially that they take the absolute best package that they possibly can. I agree with you, re-signings, but I think if anyone who watched Hearts on a fairly regular basis last term will tell you there is a need for new signings, there is a need to really shake it up a bit, and I wouldn't be surprised to see quite a few come in over the summer. I know things are going to be different economically, there'll be a squeeze, I think, on transfers right across the board from every club, but I think there is a rebuilding needed at Tynecastle this term, and I think you'll definitely see a fair bit of activity over the summer before the campaign gets up and running, however that may be, whatever shape it may come in for Hearts, but I definitely think they'll look like a very different team.
Well, absolutely. I watched them on more than a few occasions last season, Barry. They were turgid under both managers, and I think I could easily come up with 7 or 8 of the first team that could go, and I think there's money there, and I think they'll sit on it, and I think they'll do a Dundee United in that division when it starts. They will have better players, good players that will get them out there, and I would go as far as to say they'll be the Dundee United. I think they'll be runaway winners of that division, because you can just tell the way they're putting the whole structure in place. Yeah,
I've got that feeling as well, Peter, that Arnold will back Robbie to the hilt in regards to signings. I think if they get fairly compensated, wouldn't be surprised if you put all that money right into Robbie's budget. And as you says, Peter, I watched them a few times last year. They've got a few good players. I mean, Boyce and Naismith are, for me, very, very good players. So they've got a nucleus of a decent team there. They just need to do a bit of rebuilding, and I think Anne Budge will back Robbie the full way. And I think you'll see Hearts, if it is in the Championship, will storm to that league title.
Yeah, and of course they might even sell Aaron Hickey into the bargain. What, Robbie?
It's a massive...
He's away.
He gets so excited.
He does.
Oh, and
he
just
always
when he
gets
wants to
excited,
make a point,
Barry.
yeah,
but see, another
honestly,
thing, Peter, can I just say about that Hearts job? As I mentioned, I think I mentioned it 10, 15 minutes ago, you get Hearts winning again. That's a full house every single week there. No matter if you're in the Championship or not. And it's what a stadium when it's full. And you've got a winning team.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's a great atmosphere. It's a great club. I mean, she's made mistakes. I'm not going to hold back on some of the errors she's made. Listening to Craig Levine too much is one of her biggest problems. But she's a decent woman. She's got good values, and she runs the club like a family club. And she's got no time whatsoever for bigots and anybody with a racist attitude. She goes to the police and she says, get them out of this section. She just does not pull her punches. I've got a lot of time for her. Roughie, you were going to say something there. You were getting me excited.
I was going to say that it's a massive blow for the teams in that championship who didn't vote for league reconstruction, because they've got something they probably didn't think they were going to get. They're going to get, as you two have just said, a very, very strong Heart of Midlothian team who we all think are going to run away with that league. So for every other team in that championship who didn't want league reconstruction, they're practically knocking 2 years out of their whole project, because Hearts will win this league. So it'll be interesting to see what a few of them say about that.
Yeah, I'm going to put Hearts to win the championship if they're still alive and we get football played. I'm going to put Hearts to win the championship. Money on Barry to win it by double figure points. So there you are.
I've no doubt, Peter.
Yeah.
And I've just got the feeling that Anne Budge is going to open that chequebook and do everything in her power to back Robbie and let him build his own team. And listen, Peter, he's had the experiences last year in the championship. He knows it inside out. He knows the teams he's going to come up against. He knows the stadiums he's going to be playing in. So for me, I think Hearts will storm it.
Yeah, here's a question for you, Barry. I know you've managed to get the old hairdresser out there. We're still waiting on Ali to get the official hairdresser job done, because she's hanging off for as long as possible until there's a vaccine in place. But you've obviously got the haircut there. Lyndon Dykes apparently has dyed his hair blue, which, you know what we're like in Scotland. Two and two makes five. Barry, there's his hair on Instagram, and he's now reading Ali McCoy's autobiography. God, he must be bored out of his head. But nevertheless, he's ready. It looks as if he's sending signals.
Yeah, look, I says when there was rumoured about 4 or 5 weeks ago that they may be interested, I think it'd be a good sign, and he's worth it, Peter. I watched him several occasions last season, and I've got to be honest with you, I was really impressed with him. He's done it the hard way, down the championship, got his move to Livingston, and he kicked on. And I think Livingston have got a player worth a few pound there, and look, if I'm Rangers, I would certainly go and take the punt on him.
Yeah, I agree. Ali, he for me, I like the look of him. He's got a no-nonsense approach. I think he'd be a great signing for Rangers.
I don't think there's any doubt. I think, funny enough, in January when they took Canberra, I thought that Dykes might have been a better option for them, or a better long-term option for them. I think he's got a bit of aggression about him. I think he does not want for any self-belief, which you need if you're going to go and play for Rangers or Celtic. You need to have that bit of arrogance. You need to have that wee bit about you. And I think we've seen it. And I think we've seen it not so much, or not only in the routine games, but I think it really came to the fore against the games against Celtic and the games against Rangers. I thought he was an absolute handful. A couple of times I saw him against Celtic, he was a real handful for Christopher Julian. He was just in his face and in about him, and no standoffishness, no sense of being intimidated at all. And I think that augurs well. If you want to go and play at the top level, that's what you need. But certainly the signs would be encouraging for me that he could go in and do a job.
Well, the good thing, Peter, as well, is that he's a total different style to what Rangers have got and Defoe and Morelos. So if you want to change it up a bit and go maybe route one at times, as you say, he's a physical presence there, and you know what? He's a powerful boy. And technically as well, I was impressed with him. I was surprised how good he was, first touch-wise. So, look, if I'm Rangers, I would try and get him.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say to you, Barry, is what about the response from Rangers fans? 32,000 season ticket holders now. That is a strong commitment. They are trying to back the board as much as they possibly can, and that is amazing when you consider what's going on around us.
Yeah, certainly with this COVID-19, Peter, a lot of people struggling to get 32,000 people renewing their season books. This shows you that the Rangers fans are desperate to back the club, and obviously that money that comes in with season books goes into the manager's budget that can allow him to go and buy the number of players that he needs to go and strengthen and make a serious challenge to Celtic this season.
Yeah, absolutely. A great commitment there from the Rangers fans. A couple of other things I want to get your thoughts on. We're going to hear from, of course, Gary Caldwell. He'll be talking about his old club, Partick Thistle, Hibs and Celtic, and the overview of Scottish football as well. Well worth listening to Gary. Good lad. Good to hear from him. Contact training is not too far away, Roughie. I think once they get the all clear to be able to get the boot in there as well, then we're getting ever closer to where we want to be with Scottish football returning. Albeit, Roughie, dare I say, my God, I can't watch football with no fans. It's hard going, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. But as you can see, the teams that are all doing behind closed doors are just getting on with it. They'll just get their head round it. It's the only way for them to finish their leagues. So, yeah, I don't think they'll be complaining. I know some of the results are a wee bit strange, but that's the way it is, and I think we have to do that as well. We have to say, right, that's the way of the land just now, so we have to get on with it. Obviously, the SPFL have got a start date, the Champion have got a start date. We're waiting in Divisions 1 and 2 to say when they can start. But, right, I think all the clubs now are assigned to, it's behind closed doors, and as Barry said, they just have to get their head around how much money this is going to cost them in the long run.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think, apart from anything else, everybody wants to get fans back in. I know that, at the press conference on Friday, Celtic were really making moves to try and get August at some point with fans in. Up at Aberdeen, Dave Cormack has mentioned, Ali, that they've managed to raise 5 million of the 10 million they were looking for because of this shortfall since the COVID-19 hit. But they've managed to get Johnny Hayes on a 2-year deal up at Aberdeen. I'm wondering, you're getting mixed messages, of Aberdeen wanting to talk to players about wage cuts, and then suddenly Johnny Hayes arrives in a 2-year deal.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. That, first of all, I think it's a good signing for Aberdeen. I think he's still got plenty to offer. I think I was surprised actually at Celtic letting him go. I still think I think he would walk in to Aberdeen's team. But you're right. I think it raises an eyebrow when it comes to going to other players and saying, well, we're going to ask you now to take a wage cut, but simultaneously we're going out and looking to bring players in to strengthen the squad. I'm not sure how that would be received, to be honest. I think I agree with you. I think there's a kind of mixed message there.
I did read, Peter, about Johnny Hayes that he has sacrificed a fair bit of money to go up there and sign. Look, he would have done really well with the 3 years he was at Celtic. And look, I think I agree with Alison. I think he's a top signing for Aberdeen. But I seen a comment that he has sacrificed a bit of money to go up there and sign, and he was comfy up there. Look, he had a great 5 years up there, didn't he? And he got his move to Celtic, so I think it's a good bit of business.
I think it's a great bit of business, Barry, but I wonder what players think whether he sacrifices or not. The one narrative they see is player signs 2-year deal, we are being asked to take a cut.
Yeah, it's a hard one for the players, but I'm sure that if it was me, I'd go into the dressing room and ask him what he was on. That's the easiest way, isn't it?
You're just asking him to see. You're just asking him to see if he's getting more money than you.
Of course,
absolutely. Was it not Alan Shearer that had it in his deal at Newcastle that regardless of who signs, I must be paid £1 more than them? Which, Ali, that is fantastic, isn't it? I mean, that's just the deal of the century, isn't it?
Oh, good. Let's not even go there, about the egos and everything that go behind all that. But if it's true, it's just it's flabbergasting, isn't it? But it tells you so much about someone, I think.
That's the deal Roughie's got with PLZ. MD comes in new.
That's unbelievable. Hey, that's why you've not been here for 3 weeks.
You pay you.
Brilliant. The amount of people actually, and it's great testament to you, Barry, the amount of, and of course, you're obviously held in high regard with Rangers fans, but a lot of people who are not Rangers fans have said that wee break that you had, they'll miss you, and they'll miss Roughie as well when he takes his day and a half off. So there we have it. And McManus, who's just decided, I'm taking no days off. I'm working 54 days of the week, non-stop, 54 weeks of the season. As far as he's concerned, he's not taking any time off. Anyway, apart from anything else, just out of curiosity, Ali, I'll get your thoughts on a couple of Celtic players you were talking about there. Ryan Christie contract extension talks, which I think would please lots of Celtic fans. There's still this debate over whether they can get El Yunusi. The wages on a weekly basis might be the stumbling block.
Yeah, first point on Ryan Christie, I think it's a sensible thing to do. I think he's caught the eye at times. He's really flourished in the last 18 months. I think it makes sense to keep him on a long-term deal, just to ensure that if there is any interest in him, that you're going to command top dollar of a fee if he were to go anywhere else. And I think he's deserving of the new deal. But El Yunusi is one, again, it kind of comes back to the Foster stuff. I think finances may be prohibitive for it. I think he's on around 60k a week. It's well out of Celtic's budget, so there would have to be significant leeway somewhere. And whether or not the boy himself is prepared to do that, if there's interest from other clubs or not, it might be that there's a potential for a second loan term, I don't know. But I think a permanent signing would just be beyond Celtic on the current terms that he has.
Yeah, Billy Henry says it's great to see Barry back. Dougie Liddle says you're not allowed any time off, Roughie. It's as simple as that. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know where we're actually going to go on holiday anyway at the moment. So unless we could hire a big camper van and we could all go around Scotland, which is possibly the best bet for all of us at the moment. Have you got any holidays planned, Ali, with the mad kids?
No, we were supposed to be in Greece. Next Tuesday we're supposed to be flying away to Greece for 10 days, so I'm a bit gutted about that. We're supposed to be going to New York in December, so I'm just hoping that doesn't disappear too if there's a second wave. Yeah,
look at Roughie keeping quiet there. He doesn't need a holiday. Look at that tan you've got, Ruff. You're unbelievable. By the way, you could get a tan going out and it's pouring with rain. You're unbelievable.
No, I think...
Are you going anywhere?
Yeah, well, I've already missed 2 holidays already. I've already missed Greece and Spain, which was a bit of a bummer. But I've got New York as well later on, and San Diego for my son's 40th. So I don't know if that'll happen either. So
need to revisit his contract, Peter. These places he's going.
That extra pound.
It's unbelievable.
I know.
No, I'd planned my holidays for June and July when we're generally not on air.
Yes, well done, Roughie. I must admit you are the consummate professional with that. He likes to have his regular, which is a normal thing for someone of Roughie's standing, 4 holidays a year. Just got to fit them all in. And of course, who would have thought he was going to New York with Ali? That's got us all by. Got us all out here by. We're just writing that down. That's a bit of phone Ali's husband. That's a surprise.
Wait till he hears the 3 kids are coming.
Yeah, absolutely, Ali. Yeah, we'll be as happy as he is now. Barry, Kelty, I presume holidays will be thin in the ground for you with this.
Yeah, I normally take my holidays in June, Peter. Obviously they get cancelled. I was the same as Ali. I was off to Greece. I always take my mum and dad and my mother and father-in-law. They always go with. So there'll be no holidays this year for me, I'm afraid.
Well, don't worry about it, Barry, because the most important... Go on then. What are you going to say?
I thought you better rephrase it. I thought you were meaning Kelty would be hit hard with the holidays being banned for people who go to Kelty for their holidays.
Hey, Someplace Celtic.
No.
I would take it up there for a
don't you
week's holiday.
Can you believe he's absolutely tried to leather Kelty? He hasn't got one booking for his after dinner speaking,
I know.
and he's suddenly put an X next to Kelty. You're in trouble. The most important thing, the message that's just come in, and I want to thank him for it, is Mike Lewis, and I think this is a really good point that Mike Lewis makes on our Facebook page. He says, guys, pop into Burnt Island. Once my boozer is open, I'll buy you all a pint. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that is a great offer, because when we were young, Ali, in our village, we would go on holiday. Now, listen, Ali, I'm not kidding you. We would go on holiday to Burnt Island. You might think that's mad, but that was a holiday. So Mike Lewis is just saying we can all go there, Barry. Wait to see Mike Lewis's face when the entire PLZ team just open the door when lockdown is over and say, get the pints in, we're here for the night.
It cost him a fortune. Jesus. Did you see us in the night out?
Absolutely. Well, especially when we start playing ping pong with the ball and the drinking game. That's all I'm saying to you. Listen, more often than not, Alison, Motherwell do get a lot of really good PR. This is the first time I've actually got a negative that's come out. Richard Tate has mentioned that he had a contract offer, but he claims that they took advantage, the club, of the coronavirus situation to change the terms of the deal. Now, there's no doubt that the terms were changed, and that really prompted Richard Tate to, look elsewhere, and that's every player's right. But Motherwell said there was various caveats in it with the possibility of coaching in the future. So it's all ended a wee bit sour in that one, which you don't like to see.
Yeah, I agree. I read that this morning too. I read the original piece, and then I read Motherwell's statement that came out on the back of it, and I was surprised because first point is it's very unusual now for Motherwell to launder any of their dirty washing in public. We've not been used to that at all. I think the PR side of things is something that they do very, very well. And I think Richard Tate had a great relationship with the club when they were there, but the manner of its ending is obviously soured on both parts. I think maybe what's happened is that there's been a contract at the turn of the year that he's rejected, not accepted, and then by the time he's decided that he was going to accept it when the coronavirus had kicked in, that the terms by that point had changed given the finances and the uncertainty around every club at the time. I'm not sure if there's maybe been a lack of communication on both parties there, if Richard Tate has assumed that the contract remained on the table and that's not been properly communicated or not. But I thought it was quite interesting that Motherwell had said that the contract came back signed, but it never come back signed by someone from a Motherwell party. It came back just from the player himself. But yeah, it's a shame, I think, when it ends poorly like that, or it leaves a sour taste in the mouth, because I think he was a great player. I think he done very well at Fir Park, and I think he was a very popular player during his time there too.
Yeah, I think he, and again, he'll probably get, because of the nature of it, fans are fickle at times, he'll probably get roasted when he comes back there as a St Mirren player, but that's the nature of the football. Keith Berry says, my first wife was from Burnt Island. You see what happens, guys? You mention a place and then people start looking back with nostalgia, although I'm not sure Keith's looking back with great nostalgia about his first wife from Burnt Island by the emojis that he's put after his sentence. So, Michael McClay says, my family are from there, the outside swimming pool and the shows. Isn't it great? Nobody mentions that, Roughie, now. They'll call it the fair, but the shows, that's what you used to call it, isn't it? You'll remember that, Roughie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think anybody of our era remembers going down to the Kelvin Hall and getting in there and getting on all the rides and everything, and it just seems to have faded away now. Obviously, come and visit some centres from time to time, but not this year. That's another thing that people will be missing in certain towns when the shows come, but not this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're a right barrel of laughs, you, by the way. You put it all on a downer after that line, eh? Anyway, the other thing I was going to say, just before we hear from Gary Caldwell, I have Carlos Alberto's goal in the 1970 World Cup, Roughie, was an absolute belter. I also have in the great World Cup goals that I'm thinking of down through the years. There was another one that was sticking in my head, but Carlos Alberto's in 1970 was special. But on this very day, Roughie, in Mexico, apart from the hand of God, which I think a lot of people still love, certainly nobody in England loves that goal, but the greatest World Cup goal I've ever seen was scored by Diego Maradona. Now, the other one I was thinking about, Roughie, was, I don't know if you remember, Pele's goal as a 17-year-old against Sweden in the 1958 World Cup, when he just flicks it up over the boy and puts it in the back of the net. But Maradona's, for me, is the greatest World Cup goal ever, unless you can come up with something else, Roughie.
Yeah. Well, my personal, goal would be obviously Johnny Rep's in 78. A tremendous strike, unbelievable. But apart from that, if you're going to mention Maradona, and we all talk about goals, were great goals when you say, "Oh, I remember him going by 5 or 6 or 7 players and then sticking the ball." Yeah. People go, "Oh, you're exaggerating. He couldn't have went by that many players," and he certainly did go by that many players. Maradona for the halfway line. I mean, he was just going by them for fun, and particularly the latter bit before he put it in the back of the net, where he knew he was getting crowded out by the defenders, and he still had the ability to take that wee touch by everybody and put it in the back of the net. So yeah, great ability and a great goal. And I think you brought it up as well. I think John Barnes, I know it wasn't a World Cup goal, but John Barnes scored a similar goal against Brazil for England. I don't know what that was in, whether it was a friendly or whatever, but it was similar to the Maradona one. But obviously Maradona did it in a World Cup stage, which is obviously better.
Yeah. I can always remember, and I'm good friends with Mark Haitley, and I remember him saying, Barry, he scored a great goal for England in the Maracanã, and he says, and then John Barnes stepped up and scored the next goal, and it was the wonder goal in that game that Roughie's talking about. There's nothing worse than scoring a great goal and then Barnes scores an even better goal.
No, he was some player, John Barnes. Actually, watching the game last night, the Merseyside derby, and it was good to see him. He was brilliant at Liverpool, Peter. I used to love watching John Barnes. What a player he was. But that Maradona goal, that's the first real World Cup that I just turned 8, and that's when I was real starting to get into football. And Maradona in that World Cup was unbelievable, frightening.
Yeah,
he was in that 86
Can you come up with a better goal, or is that the one for you as well?
No, that's definitely, and it makes it even better. It's against England, doesn't it? So let's be honest.
Yeah, well, that's a personal point of view. I think a lot of people in Scotland will share, which is why they're delighted you're back here. Alison, can you come up with a better goal, or is it Maradona?
No, I think it's that Maradona one every time. I think it's a real iconic goal of the World Cup now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Top drawer, one of the greatest World Cup goals ever. And I think a lot of people... Keen Jogger says, I think the one against Belgium wasn't bad either. And Archie Gemmell's goal, Hugh Hepburn Duff is right to point out Archie Gemmell's goal, which was an absolute belter. Could have been the goal that got us through to the next stages of the World Cup at that point in 78, had it not been for someone not able to stop a 30-yard trickler from Johnny Rep. And therein is the link back to Roughie's story. So there you are. There's been lots of that on over the last few months. It's good to see some of the old games. Listen, lots of great comments coming in. Like, share and follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to us. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. You just hit the subscribe button and you're part of the team, and you'll get that notification when the programmes are on, when the unique one-to-one interviews and lots of other good video content that we're doing. We're trying to stick with you all over the summer and beyond if we possibly can. We've had some amount of guests on, top names coming on, and of course all great stories. And when we usually get them on, what happens is some of the other broadcasters just copy us and get them on later. So it's as simple as that. We like to try and get them on. You know what it's like, Ali. Copying you is flattery. I don't know about you, but I'm always flattered when we see them 2 days later, and Roughie quotes them from 2 days later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Imitation's the most sincerest form.
It's a good
That's
show,
why you're
let's
here.
be honest. I've been
Yeah.
watching it
Oh,
the
listen,
3
they're all-
weeks. It was good. And the guests you've got on, don't just the panels, very good. The guests that you've got on are good. Good chats.
Yeah, lots of footballers from right across the board, and I'd like to thank everybody who mentions the different guests that we've had on across the board. Of course, the next guy, I caught up with him earlier today just to get his thoughts on how Scottish football's unfolding. I'm not too sure Gary Caldwell is keen to get back into football management, but certainly it was interesting listening to his comments. Here's what he had to say earlier on today. Well, I'm delighted to say we are joined by former Hibs, former Celtic, and of course former Partick Thistle manager. But as a player, Hibs and Celtic certainly up here is where Gary Caldwell made his name. Gary, delighted you could join us. I presume you, the family, safe and well in the longest lockdown in history.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Delighted to join you. Yeah, we are safe. I mean, I'm going to kill one of the kids with the homeschooling, but apart from that, we're all fine, and I think that's the main thing at this moment in time. You know, everyone's health is so important, but like I said, we're battling through the homeschooling. We're getting out as much as we can and doing some exercise, and it's been good spending the time with them in some ways.
Are you itching to get back involved in football?
Yeah, I have been doing some stuff individually with players, and I did some coaching this week with a local player who's out of contract for Man United. So I'm doing stuff like that, and I'm enjoying that. I'm not eager to get into the management rat race, but I miss coaching. I miss working with players. So if a coaching opportunity or something like that came up, it would interest me. But I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing at the minute.
I'd love to get your opinion on being an outsider looking into the madness which is unfolding before us here in Scottish football. Never mind voting to end the season or reconstruction. Now we seem to be in a situation where your old club Partick Thistle and Hearts have joined forces and are at war with the SPFL.
Yeah, I have to say I'm with them. I think sporting integrity, finishing the season, you know, and allowing teams the chance to get out the trouble they were in, or you know, pick up points to get them into Europe or whatever was, you know, should have happened. And to relegate someone when they have a game in hand, and that game in hand would take them out of the relegation zone, I think it's sad for football, and especially sad for Scottish football. So who knows what will happen, but I was definitely of the opinion that, you know, play the games and allow the kind of decisions to be made on the park rather than by off the park.
Yeah, you know how difficult it was with a budget being a manager up here in Scotland. If we don't get peace to break out, some clubs are facing not only financial difficulty, financial ruin.
Yeah, they are, and I understand from the league's point of view that, you know, the finances were vital in terms of keeping clubs afloat. But like I said, I still think that the football decisions should be made on the park rather than off the park, and how these clubs get through the next few months, how we keep Scottish football going, is a massive challenge, and hopefully we can come out the other side better. And that's where I think reconstruction is a great opportunity at moments like this. It doesn't happen often in terms of, you know, you go back hundreds of years and a situation like this has never happened. So it would have been a great opportunity for the clubs to come together, the leagues to try and reconstruct and bring something that can enhance the Scottish game and make the Scottish game better, rather than the infighting that we've had, and it's almost pulling the game apart.
Down south, some of the Premiership clubs will obviously have spare money to burn. Chelsea with Timo Werner. Championship clubs financially might find things a little bit more difficult. Up here, I wonder what the future is for some players. Do you think they might have to actually rein in what they believe they're worth? Because we have a situation now where Aberdeen are talking to players about wage cuts. Hibs, your old club, are talking to players about wage cuts.
Yeah, I think so. I think players will have to be realistic in terms of the contracts they look at this summer. You know, players that are out of contract, it's probably the worst time ever to be out of contract, but they're going to have to take that hit if they want to stay in the game and get a club. And I think everyone's budget will be reduced because of this, but hopefully, we can pick back up, and in the next few years, few windows, we can start to get back to normality.
Yeah, let's look at the managerial merry-go-round. Suddenly, Robbie Neilson decides that he doesn't want to stay with Dundee United, who potentially we think should be in the Premiership next season. The job at Hearts is too good to turn down. He had a successful period there before, but I wonder sometimes about managers going back a second time. What about your take on
it? I don't know. I think Robbie probably, in hindsight, left a little bit too early. The lure of England probably brought him down to MK Dons. He was promised a lot and quickly found out that those promises weren't the reality of the club that he went to, and struggled. Came back to Dundee United, great opportunity, done a fantastic job in getting them promoted again, and now his stock's high again. He's made that decision to go back to Hearts. I think it's a club that emotionally he's connected to, which is probably a big pull for him. But also, regardless of what league they're in, I think Hearts are a massive club, and a club that he probably feels he's got some unfinished business there.
Yeah, and with him leaving, it leaves a great job, I think, Gary, at Dundee United. What a chance that is. I mean, Tommy Wright is the favourite at the moment for it, but there'll be more than a few candidates looking at that club and thinking that is a great opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I said Hearts is a big club. It's no disrespect. I think Dundee United are a massive club in Scotland as well, so it is a really appealing job. I think they've rebuilt in terms of internally. They've got a good structure now with the director of football and the different roles that they've built within the club. So it's a great job for somebody to go in and carry on what Robbie has started, regardless of what league they are in next year.
What about your old team? Can you see anyone stopping Celtic? I mean, Rangers, the rumours are rife. They might be going for the likes of Lyndon Dykes to strengthen the squad again. Steven Gerrard getting excited about the prospects for the new season. Can you see Rangers finally stopping Celtic's, desire for 10 in a row?
I think Celtic are extremely strong. I think big questions were asked before Christmas. They were put under pressure by Rangers, more pressure than they have been for a number of years, and the answer was resounding, in my opinion. They came back after the break, a different team, to win games, to grind games out. I was at the game at Pittodrie where they won 2-1, and they didn't play great in the match, but they managed to win the game, and that is what champions need to do. And Celtic have that course and distance experience that Rangers don't, and they're going to find it very difficult to try and stop 10 in a row next season.
Yeah, 2 quick points on that. Who do you think the most important player will be at Celtic this season?
I think Scott Brown is always, or a captain is always the most important player, and Scott, being the leader he has been over the last few years, he's going to be massive again, and almost keeping people's feet on the ground, stopping complacency setting in. I think that is what I've been so impressed with at Celtic, that they've managed to continue to drive forward to win not just the league but domestic cups as well. And that level of consistency demands that on the training pitch every day, nobody lets up their standards. And Scott Brown is massive in making sure that he keeps people on their toes so that they are ready to go.
Yeah, you know him well as a player. I mean, they're talking about he's 35. They might use him sparingly. I can't see him buying into that. Can you?
No, I can't. But I think he has changed his game as a player. I think, when I think back to Hibs, when I first played with him, he was a all action, full of energy, kind of winger come number 10. And now he's a defensive midfielder. So it shows the level of game knowledge that he has, that he's managed to adapt his game and playing a totally different position now and using his experience to great effect. He doesn't need the energy that he had in his younger days. He uses his head a lot more. So I think he'll buy into whatever Neil Lennon wants to use him for, and the two of them have a fantastic relationship. They knew each other as players, and now it's a player manager, and they will, together, I think, come up with the best solution for Celtic to win another title.
Yeah. Do you think they could win it with what they've got, or do you think Neil will be looking to 1, 2, 3 players?
I think they'll always strengthen. I think that is the key to any great team, that even when you're winning, you continually try and add more to create competition for the players that are there, but bring in, better quality to the group as well. So they will look to add, they'll look to strengthen, and make it even more difficult for Rangers to try and overhaul them next season.
We were talking about the fact that players might have to have a reality check. Some players will be out of contract and looking and weighing their options up. One of them is Craig Gordon. He's been negotiating with Celtic, but he's now pondering over a 2-year deal at Hearts. Do you think the driving force in his decision might be the fact that he was a Hearts fan, but playing regularly at Tynecastle might sway it?
Yeah, I think Craig has had a remarkable career, actually, in a sense that he built his career, his reputation, and got to the Premier League in England, playing for his country, number one, and then had a really difficult few years out the game with injury, and it almost looked like he was going to retire very young, and suddenly found a cure or a process that he could train to get himself physically able to play, and had a fantastic spell as Celtic's number one. But I think because of those missed years from injury, I think his driving force will be playing games of football, because that is what, as a footballer, what you want to do. And he has missed out on that for a number of years early in his career, and he probably wants to gain that back in the latter years of his career. So I think that the main thing for him is playing games of football, and he'll probably get that at Hearts.
Yeah, just talking about your old club, Hibs. I mean, there was high hopes when Ron Gordon came in that there would be, a new Hibs, a more vibrant Hibs, a real chance to push on. Suddenly, they might have to look at letting some of their key players go just to try and balance the books here, and that, I think, would be a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, I think everyone's in the same boat. You have to, financially, you have to look after the football club, and whilst supporters want new players and to kind of bring success to the club, I think now the test will be for managers and coaches to coach what they have and get the best out of the players that they have. And you'll have to run with probably smaller squads, so you'll have to train in a way that keeps people fit. And there'll be, lots of challenges for coaches and managers. But like I said, I think it's across the board. I don't think it's just one or two clubs. I think it will be most clubs throughout Britain, not just Scotland, but throughout Britain, and that will challenge people.
Yeah, just before you go, Gary, give me an insight into you as a person, because I have looked and thought, okay, the English Premier League is back. I'm going to pick a few games that I think are worth watching, and boy, have I been mightily disappointed so far. It just hasn't kicked in yet, has it?
No, it hasn't, and I think everyone is a little bit kind of underimpressed, shall we say, at the game since they came back, and thought it would be more. It's actually when I was a manager, looking back over games and preparing for games, I watched all games silent anyway, so never had any commentary or any noise, just watched it from a purely tactical point of view and trying to find out strengths and weaknesses in the team. So I've watched a lot of football in silence, but I think people who watch football for entertainment and the noise of the crowd and what that brings in terms of atmosphere, even into the telly, into your living room, it's been missed. And what they're trying to recreate that noise, it's not really worked. But the big thing I will say, I watched a few German games, and early on they were very similar, almost like training games. It took every team about 2-3 games to really get up to speed. And the games now in Germany were at full tilt. And I think England, the Premiership, will probably be similar in the sense that once you get 2 or 3 games in, I think you'll see players' energy levels, the speed of the game going up, and hopefully the games will be more entertaining.
Yeah, just as a final point, we've been started to get excited about a number of our Scottish players that might come through just in time for the playoffs. Are you looking at Scotland and thinking there might be a little bit of a resurgence here with some of the players available?
Yeah, I hope so. I think, having the players back, like John McGinn, being the main one, back fully fit for these qualifiers and the playoffs will be a massive boost. So hopefully they do get the fixtures arranged and they come at the right time for the squad to be in peak form to finally get us to a major finals.
Yeah, and last point, I know this is the most crucial one for you. Just remember when you're doing the fractions with your kids, when X and Y start to come into it, that's when you need to start hitting Google. I'm just giving you an insight from my own point of view on it.
Well, I've hit Google a lot. Trust me. They come and ask. They ask me what the answer is, and I actually say I don't know. You'll need to go and actually research and do some work because I don't know. But no, I've picked up a few things recently that I had forgot.
Gary, there's more that I hope you can contribute to football when you get back in on a full-time basis. Again, from everyone in the Football Show, thanks for joining us.
Brilliant, Peter. Thank you.
You can share that, Ali, can't you? Kids asking you questions. It's incredible. And I'll tell you another thing, Alison. He's like every one of us on this show. We're dying to watch football and get right into it again. But I don't know about you, Ali. Have you been watching some of the English football and thinking...
It's so different. It's so different. We watched the Liverpool game the other night, and you think without a crowd, it's such a different experience. I think even for the players, like the last 10 or 15 minutes, you think in normal circumstances, if you've got a crowd behind you, really pushing you on to go and win the game, it affects the ebb and flow. It affects the tempo. It affects the energy all around it. I think it's just an entirely different experience. It feels really soulless without having a crowd, without having anything there. But it most definitely affects the way that the game plays out too.
Yeah, Barry, when you're looking at players and looking at teams, do you watch it with the sound down as well? I know Gary mentioned that there. Is that the type of thing you do?
Yeah, it's interesting that Gaz mentioned that. I do the same thing, but as you say, you're looking at for strengths and weaknesses, Peter, and what kind of formation teams play. When you're watching these games, like last night, I was the same as Alison, I watched the Merseyside derby, and you watch it for excitement, and I'm just watching it, and I'll be honest with you, I was bored. And the guys made a good point last night. Everton would have probably come out a wee bit more, but they made it so difficult with sitting deep. Liverpool couldn't get in behind them, and that's one of their main strengths, isn't it? Getting in behind with their pace of their forward players. So I'm not enjoying it, Peter, if I'm being honest with you, watching the games.
Yeah.
Not enjoying it.
I tell you, the funny thing is, Roughie, and I don't know if you agree with this, guys, just before we go, is the fact that I love players who can actually go and square up to somebody and take them on. And there was only one player who actually attempted to do that last night, which was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain at one point, trying to go by two or three players and was fouled, Roughie. I mean, that's why we get so excited about certain players who've got a trick, a Raheem Sterling, that can do something a wee bit out of the ordinary and beat a man. Is that? I mean, because it was pass,
Yeah.
I mean, Liverpool are going to win the league, but I like tricky players.
Yeah, it was like just a training session, just going through the motions, and that's why I agree with the guys that I think crowds make even the better players, the real players, better players. I think good players respond to the crowd round about them. They enjoy everything that goes along with it, the adulation, the pat in the back, chanting their name and everything, and I think they just become better players. So it just shows that we need the crowds in there to lift everything. But you're right, there is a shortage of these kind of players, but I think the crowd sometimes makes that kind of player be better.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, guys, before we go. One word answer. Wally Gibson has just said to us, it's Man City against Burnley tonight. That should be better. Barry Ferguson, will you watch it? Yes or no?
Yes. I'll watch it.
I'm running tonight. No, I won't watch it.
Right, okay. Roughie?
Yes, I watch
There's no
it.
chance. Are you watching it?
Yep.
I'm surprised at
Yep.
that.
Well, I'll be watching
Right,
that
okay.
thing on at night, that new series at 9 o'clock. So what time's it start? There's part 2 of that new series.
Right, brilliant. Okay, as ever, always like to give you the latest news on everything. Although I know, I noticed somebody is standing outside Tynecastle with a banner saying "Nielsen out." It's come up on my Twitter feed here. The world's gone mad. He's just in the door. There's always somebody at the wind-up. That's the nature of the game. Listen,
that's Levine for you. You can't keep him away.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, Roughie, you never know. I mean, can you imagine he got the Dundee United job? No harm to Craig, but I think it would be. I'd be gobsmacked if Dundee United gave him the job. I know he did say he was interested today, but I think. I don't know. I think the evidence of Hearts, I think, has done a lot of damage to him. But listen, you want to see people in a job if they still love their football and somebody wants to employ them, by all means. Who knows? We'll see how it all transpires. Anyway, Ali's going for a run. Ali, I might share that with you. I might have to not go run with yourself because obviously you're going to Burnt Island and New York with Roughie. So I don't think you're... husband's certainly going to tolerate me going a run with you, and certainly not at the pace I'm going at. What is it, Roughie? What is it, man?
No, if she comes to New York with me, she will be burnt out.
And on that, Ali, see if it was physically possible for you to belt his head in the way we split this show up, it would be fantastic. But when we all get back together in the studio, Ali, batter him. Simple as that. Anyway, apart from anything else, don't forget to like, share, and follow us on our Facebook. We are on Periscope, on Twitter as well. You can watch it on your phone, or do what... a wonderful lady, Mary, said to me there. She says, I'm watching it on the big screen on our telly, because you just go down to your apps on your smart television screen, put YouTube in, and you can watch it on your telly at your own leisure. So thank you to everyone who's supporting us that way on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. Great to have Barry back with us. He'll be back on Wednesday with, of course, the sidekick that is Tam McManus, Roughie, and myself. Thanks to Alison for today, and Roughie, and from myself, Peter Martin. Thank you for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit Arnold